Good evening and welcome to Slam the Gavel, the show that tells it all regarding family court, other court issues, as well as CPS. I am your host, Marianne Petrie. This episode of Slam the Gavel is sponsored by CPS Protect Consulting Services. A child protective services case is one of the most frightening experiences for any parent. Don't face it alone. Face it with confidence with Urgent Assist by CPS Protect. You can have access to former CPS investigators to make sure you preserve your rights and protect your family. If you're facing CPS involvement and aren't sure where to turn, their child welfare consultants can help you. Visit cpsprotect.com/subscribe and enter the coupon code SLAMTheGavel for 10% off your first year of Urgent Assist. And this is available in all 50 states. I have another announcement. Bradley's mother, Narcus Golan, passed away last fall of 2022. He is autistic and needs structured routine therapies he receives for his autism 6 days a week. However, Italy just entrusted Bradley to the Italian Social Services. If he is ruled to go back, he will face the next 3 to 4 years in the Italian foster care system, where he can't speak or understand the language. He will then be taken away from the only family he has ever known. And we have Judge Ann Donnelly to thank for this. Please call Governor Hochul at 518-474-8390. That's Governor Hochul at 518-474-8390. Hashtag keep Bradley safe. I'm bringing back advocate Dolores Feliciano. She was last on the podcast October 21st of 2020, season 1, episode 9, where she offered advice regarding CPS and parental alienation. And Dolores is a tenacious advocate and activist for alienated parents since 2015. She has coverage on her YouTube, one of which is called Family Unjustifiably Torn Apart. And there's a part 1 and a part 2 to that. And also on YouTube, Dolores has videos regarding protests in front of the Department of Social Services and in front of the UN building, and has even spoke to legislation regarding family court corruption and CPS. So I welcome you back, Dolores. I welcome you back to the podcast. We haven't talked in a while, but here you are.
Thank you, Marianne, for having me back again.
Most definitely. Yeah. So you've got some updates or some things we all should know about.
Yes, but I'll get into that. But first off, I just want to let everyone know that my speaking with you today is going to be about what you had mentioned, the corruption and the ongoing corruption of the system. But I just want to let people know out there that I have no malice. This is not about animosity toward the other parent. This is everything regarding what my child has been through. I have forgiven and God and left it up to God's will. But there is an update. But first, if you will allow me to read a passage by writer Douglas Pagels. This is going out to mainly I saw it and I thought of my daughter from what had transpired since 2020, and I wanted to read it and let her know. But this is also going out to all others, children who are undergoing this plague called parental alienation. Mm-hmm. So here it goes. Thoughts about changes and new beginnings. I know you're probably wondering what will happen in the next chapter of your life. It isn't always easy to make changes, but there's no better advice than this. Just do your best. Make sure you stay strong enough to move ahead, because there are some wonderful rewards waiting for you. It won't all make sense right away, but I promise you, over the course of time, answers will come. Decisions will prove to be the right ones, and the path will be easier to see. Here are some things you can do that will help you to see you through. You can have hope, because it works wonders for those who have it. You can be optimistic, because people who expect things to turn out for the best often set the stage for receive the beautiful result. You can put things in perspective because some things are important and others are definitely not. You can remember that beyond the clouds, the sun is still shining. You can meet each challenge and give it all you've got. You can count on your blessings. You can be inspired to climb your ladders and have some nice, long talks with your wishing stars. You can be strong and patient. You can be gentle and wise. And you can believe in happy endings because you are the author of the story of your life. Douglas Pagels.
That's excellent.
And that is how I wanted to start this podcast, because those words are so true in many, many ways. 2020 marked another chapter in my life, or my family's life. Once again, being taken into the family court. But this time, it was a flight aspect. Flight upon the other parent who has alienated our daughter, my daughter, from me and my family. You see, back in 2012, 2020, go back. Forgive me, sometimes I go into remembrance and I get a little ruffled.
That's okay.
So bear with me, please. 2020 marked, it'll be 10 years. Actually, it is 10 years since I've seen my daughter. It's 13 years that my daughter has underwent parental alienation. So 2020 was 8 years since I haven't seen my daughter, and I set forth to bring a birthday COVID parade. Wasn't sure if she was going to be home or not. I took the chance anyway. The Lord gave me a beautiful sunny day, crystal blue. Not only that, my daughter was home. A 6-car, beautiful birthday parade with families and friends who were willing to participate without hesitation. Each car decorated from the night before, each one with a different theme, with my daughter in mind, all of her favorite things. She was upstairs in her bedroom. I remember this like it was yesterday. But her friend was over. Dad was in the garage working with his tools. As I slowly approach, and the horns blowing and the horns honking and everyone cheering, I see my daughter come out of the house. She got taller, more beautiful. Walking in awe, her face gaping was what she was seeing. I had my mask on, my sunglasses, probably unrecognizable to her, but something told me to get out of the car, and so I did. And she was slowly walking toward the car, my car, or our car, on the grass, and I slowly got out of the vehicle, and I said, "Hi, baby, it's Mama. It's Mama." And she couldn't see, and so I lowered the mask, and I still had those darn sunglasses. She couldn't see my eyes, hoping she could recognize me. But I knew in my heart she knew. She knew. And as she slowly stepped off the grass onto the street, it was public now, and everyone was screaming her name, and she couldn't believe, "Is this for me? Is this for me?" I said, "It's all for you, honey. It's all for you. Happy birthday. We love you." And just as soon as we were about to engage, something told me not to. That my heart was jumping out of my chest. I just wanted to just reach out and grab her, lift her up and swing around. She looked to her left and she immediately put her head down as if she saw a ghost. So we backed away and I went back into the vehicle. And as I slowly moved the car forward to make our way around the block once more, I see walking up the block whom she was afraid of, walking with her shepherd and her befriended person who she had stalked us in 2017 in my daughter's dance recital in a parking lot. You know, people that narcissists will try to befriend to get them to do their dirty work for them, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So my daughter walked away and vanished from my sight, and I took the parade around again around the block, knowing that more than likely she wouldn't be there. And I was right, she wasn't. But at the same time, two people were on the front driveway trying to video the parade as if we were doing something wrong when we were clearly not. And 2 months later, I received a petition at my door
Mm-hmm.
once again to appear in court, and now asking for sole custody. False alleged allegations, to permission to move out of state, to stay away from everything my daughter is involved with, which, keep in mind, folks, while she was living up here, I was part of the PTA in her school.
Mm-hmm.
I was very active in my daughter's activities.
Mm-hmm.
I never missed a beat.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a mother. I never missed a beat of her. My older child would never do for my second, and they made it hell trying for me being there. They did. In fourth grade, they found an administrator they manipulated, and from then on, it was just hell.
Mm-hmm.
But I still persevered. So long as my daughter saw me there, that's all that mattered. But so here we are, 2020, and of course, the merry-go-round started again after 6 years. 2016, I left petitions, going pro se, and going appealing pro se, and doing my best, knowing the inevitability of this wicked place called a courts. Okay, so being brought into court again now because of the parade that probably stirred, what would you call it, anger, I guess, upsetness upon the parent, the spouse, and it was a take flight action, knowing that once your child, because of age and starts, or teenage, and they start asking questions, they start to get nervous. So I guess they decided to want to leave. But a long story short, announced to me they had already left the state right after the following year. While during litigation, not knowing that they had already left, which is illegal.
Mm-hmm. It's a felony.
Correct. I don't know what my daughter had been told. Obviously, false things, probably. While during litigation, I would venture to believe that she was told that they have to ask permission from me to allow them to leave. And I'm letting you know, and the public know, that, of course, I did not.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever it is that they had manipulated my daughter to believe, to possibly accrue hate upon me, my daughter hopefully hate me and thinking that I would allow them to go, but I did not.
Mm-hmm.
But I did not know that they had already left. And my daughter had been enrolled in a middle school for 1 year to finish out her middle school years down there. I can't imagine my daughter's terrified. I can't imagine what she must have felt, or gone through, the fear of just running away with her
Mhm.
into a land of the unknown, not knowing who, what, taken away from family and friends,
Mhm.
putting in a school. That's just abduction. That's just wrong. Just wrong. Not at all thinking of the best interests of the child. And yet the courts allowed this to happen. Law guardians enable this to happen. Attorneys enable this to happen, all to cover up a story that had been buried for years. True allegation, true fact upon my daughter being attacked mentally, emotionally, and physically, that I've been trying to prove over a decade. So now, over parade, my daughter probably had questions. I thought you said mom didn't care about me. My mother loves me. Yes, I'm here. I'm always going to be here. But I think this was their last recourse, was to move, to get me as far away from me as possible, to make it as difficult for her to reach out to me, vice versa. What do they say? The long period of time of absence, you hope to get, right? They did that while they were living up here in the state of New York, trying to keep me away from her, her away from me. But I was resilient and I was persistent. And as a parent, we all should be. And we do the right thing for our kids. No, we don't become angry, folks. That's not the answer. We don't become bitter. That's not the answer. We have to become forgiving and just think of the child. It's the child. It's the teenager. It's the young adult. It's the adult that has lived through it. It's about them. It's not about going back and forth. You know, for her, I actually stepped away. And what I mean was all those years of trying to having faith in a system that would do what they're supposed to do and protect the children and the families. I had total faith. I didn't know what PA was about. I didn't know I was undergoing it. I didn't know I was a victim until afterwards, until after it happens. Firing 5 attorneys. Broke. It took a toll on my health. Yeah, that's what they hope for. This is what they bank. But my aim was my daughter a break, because Marianne, every time I would try to reach out, every time via mailing, via birthdays, you know, I wasn't allowed phone calls, wasn't allowed anything. 2013, they forced, excuse me, I had CPS by the, not going to say the word.
Oh, you can.
Had a trial, had a trial against them and everything, against the forensic evaluator who lied, against the CPS who lied. I had an attorney that swore she was behind me all the way until it was time for the day of cross-examination, and she left me high and dry. And then the coercion came. What I didn't know then that I know now. The fear tactics, the coercion that CPS puts upon parents. The I'll do this, we're going to do that. If you don't do this, we're going to do that. It's real. It's real. It took them 2 hours to finally try to coerce me. 2 hours in the lobby. And no court what do you call it when you go in there? They I'm losing my words.
Hearing, trial, hearing.
No hearing, the trial. It was trial. We were on the 3rd day.
Okay.
No proper court allocution. That's what I'm saying. Was given to me when I was put under duress and forced to take these ridiculous stipulations that did nothing for my daughter and no good for us at all. Oh, I couldn't see her unless we went to unification therapy, which does nothing for a child that is under parental alienation, we all know now, folks, to let you know, and doctors have said this, you cannot reunify a parent with a child that has undergone years of parental alienation until you what, folks? Until you remove the problem. You have to remove the one who is alienating from the picture entirely before you can reunify the child with the parent. It's simple. It's logic. It's common sense. How can you have reunification with a parent that you don't see go to a meeting when who's transporting the child to the meeting? The alienator. Who's drilling the child as they're going there? Who's drilling the child as they go back? Who's punishing the child if they should mention anything incorrect or correct? What kind of punishment are they going through? You don't want to know because it's that horrific. And we've witnessed it when it came to my daughter. Every single weekend was horror. Screaming, and the things we were seeing on her body, and the thoughts that were coming out of her mouth, and the behavioral activity. It was just her. It was seeing a child being possessed. That's what it is. It's a possession taking over. We couldn't do it anymore. Not for her. If she even merely mentioned my name, spoke love about me, us, her family, she would be punished. This is what they go through. And don't think it ends when they become a teenager. No, because teenagers now become independent on material things, right? You won't get a new car if you say you go to college. You won't go to dance lessons. They took that away from her. Dance lessons were given up here just to reel her, keep her. She wanted to be a dancer. She still does. Okay, but she's no more in dancing anymore since they took her down there. She's no more in playing her viola. They took that away.
What a shame.
It's just one manipulation after another. And we had to, this is the hardest thing, folks. This is the hardest thing. Stepping back and let it be to God. I know what you're going to say, folks. Oh, but I don't believe in God. Oh, I'm not religious. It's not religious. It's about having faith in something, having hope. How about this? How about just doing the right thing for your child? Stop thinking about yourself. Child is not a possession. People are not possessions. Okay? What was that? We gave that up how many years ago? We just celebrated June 19th, right? Slavery. We're not slaves, okay? We are not commodities, all right? We're not ownership. But this is what courts teach parents to do. Use your child as a pawn against the other, right? Stop me if I'm wrong, Marianne.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
Okay? This is how they bank. All right? They use people. They take advantage of parents' vulnerability. Usually it's the one who's fighting the most. Usually it's the one who's protecting the child's rights, your rights, that they're banishing. And that's what happens. And they're teaching parents, as they're listening to this podcast right now, as people are saying or are coming forth with all this, people learning from this, Marianne. The generations are learning from this. Oh, what'd she say? Oh, if I do this in court, if I get myself an attorney and I can be bad and I just pay off, I'll get what I want. People are learning from this. You know, there's no good coming out of that place. Nothing. It wasn't created for we the people. That's for sure. It wasn't. Okay. And people look into that. It was not created for we the people. We the children, we the family. Okay. It has nothing to do with the family. Oh yeah. Their family, the court family. Yes. They're helping the court family, not the and so, of course, I did the thing, go to court, myself per se, court it off. all of my work, mind you, my not giving up on my daughter never will. I just had to step back and take a sabbatical. It was, I had to take a sabbatical, leave it to God, because no matter what road I was taking down the line to prove my innocence, to prove neglect, it was just buried. And I'll tell you why. They had leverage. What's the leverage? Oh, it's not just if you're friends with people in the court. No, it's not just if you're helping with their campaigns. No, it's not just, you're having lunch and tea. It's all about your title. If you have that title, if you are an elite, if you work for law enforcement. Okay. And
or if you're a whore of the
this is what
court.
happened. Exactly. And with my story, it happened to be that way. Retired law enforcement, became engaged or married into, my daughter's dad. And it was all just a ploy to get me out of the picture and to annihilate me, to every possible thing you can think of, I've been through. All right. And this is what they've been hiding, knowing that I have the proof. I went in with my armor, okay? My armor, and I was ready for trial. No way am I going to agree for you to take my daughter out of state, especially since you're coming up with these ludicrous reasons. Not with, and to show proof of your ludicrous, we're going to take this all the way. I even decided to even just say, you know what, maybe I'll even get some assistance. I'll get myself, everybody was calling me, hey, we can help. Hey, we can help. All right. Maybe I'll take the chance and put my trust, is that word trust, into a nonprofit organization. Okay. A project. I'll leave it at that. It was a project, they call themselves. And, gave them all the information, and they wanted to take it federal because obviously it's a federal case now. It's against the law what they did. I was ready to go to Washington. Got myself out of that, take it all the way. Until I guess they found out that it was what do you call it? A high conflict, what is it called? Case?
Yeah, high conflict case.
Marianne?
High conflict or
high conflict case. Right. And, money being passed around and trying to uncover what was covered for 10 years. Oh, we're talking federal prison. We're talking everything. And I guess maybe by dropping me the last minute, they kind of took a deal from the other side. I don't know. That's what it looked like. So once again, I'm by myself. And you said, God said, you're not by yourself. Remember, I'm here. And he's right. I went in with full ammo again, on my own. My 50-inch flat screen TV, my assistant, my suit, my court watchers, and my thumb drive. I made a PowerPoint, ready to go. Oh, and they tried to give us the original judge from way back when, Judge Chang, who was also affiliated with a recent tragedy. But when I went in that day, Judge Chang was no longer on the bench, at least not in that place. So I went to a referee. Referee is one to decide, take all matters into consideration, all evidence into consideration, and then deliver it to a judge to make a decision. Well, we had the referee. I went in twice, discussed my case, and she bowed out. Got a letter of a recusement from her. Her reason? Personal reason. We all know the reason. We all know the reason, don't we, Marianne? So now it goes to another judge, a male judge. Oh, with his sidekick, who is really on my tail about, oh, who's this project you're dealing with, and blah blah blah. And I had someone else step in to want to prove that my daughter was taken out of state, and I still don't even know. At that point, I didn't know my daughter was taken. I was just trying to prove it. We went to the Attorney General. Nobody was helping. No one. We went to, you know, the police department. No one was helping. Everybody was just hush hush. I said to myself, okay, God, I know what you're telling me. I know what you're telling me. Just another runaround. That's okay. We'll play it out the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did. Went in, ready to go for trial. Oh, they were procrastinating. Oh, they were giving so many reasons. Oh, and mind you, one key, the other side never ever showed presence. So that was kind of suspicious. Ever. In all the days. So now I went before this judge. And that judge recused himself.
Oh my gosh.
See the pattern, folks?
Yep, yep.
That judge recused himself. So I'm saying to myself, why are they recusing? There's much more to this than I must not know, that they're just not wanting to take a simple no from not allowing my daughter to leave the state to showing proof of their reasons why I can't go near my daughter and all this. You don't want me to bring up the so, again, for the record, did not give permission for them or for my daughter. Then they were talking about wanting to bring in my daughter for questioning. The law guardian was saying my daughter didn't want to see me. Of course, I'm not gonna, what did it say? Don't believe what you hear, half of what you see. So, I want to see it was just all, oh, we don't have to show. I brought pictures in their frames. And I set them out on the table. Now, mind you, I had underwent surgery during this whole process. 2021, I had a surgery. Okay. I was still showing up in court, wobbling as I was, trouble standing, but my friends behind me were helping me stand. I lost a beloved pet during the process. Oh, that's a whole other story. Through a vet. Vet's negligence, but we won't get into that. Judge recused himself. So now we're getting another judge. Mind you, folks, this is called shopping for judges. Okay? That means that the side is looking for a judge that is going to either not know anything all of your case if you happen to have been winning, even though you're on the wrong, and covering up, and they don't want to, taint their seat, and or just shopping for a personality that is accommodating to theirs. Are you following me here?
Oh,
okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So they found one. Brand new to the seat. When I say brand new, just became a judge and started her career in the family court. And I did my research on this female judge, a mom of one. I don't know if now there's two.
Lucky her.
Yeah, I knew the city she lived in, which is one of the most political cities in Long Island. And I said, wow, knew where she studied, knew what she studied. I said, this one's brand new to family court. She has no idea. They're going to mold her. Sure as anything. I go in, I meet with her, lovely judge, seemed fair, made a comment that I've been in this for so long, told her I was ready for trial. I have my PowerPoint ready to go, my witnesses, everything. So procrastination hits again. Everybody has, each side has how many chances they have to postpone or reschedule for whatever reason. And they were utilizing their time really well. That's okay. But unfortunately, my family was going into tragedy, and it was taking a toll on me. So the day that we had to go in to pick a date for the court. Now, folks, you may have been through this, where you have a conference, right? And the conference, they tell you what the conference is about. This particular conference was just to pick a date for the trial, right? My family member was needing me that day. He was dying. I went in on that day, and for the first time ever in the years in the court system, I had asked to be dismissed, to be with my family member. Because after all, it was just a conference just to pick a date, right? There was nothing to be discussed. There was no discussion. It was just to pick a date. So I go to the court officer. He obliged, went to the judge, came out, said, okay, this is going to be the date. Great. I leave. But guess what I find in the mail 2 days later?
Oh.
A decision made by the judge. In other words, my court trial was dismissed. It was not going to happen. My evidence wasn't going to be shown. Nothing was going to happen. I opened the letter. It says that their petition for full sole custody, their petition to move out of state, their petition to keep me away from teachers, their petition to keep me away from was dismissed. Oh, you would think that's a good thing. So I proposed this to my town senator. He says, oh, this looks like a good thing. I said, but is it now? I still don't know where my daughter is. Oh, well, they did mention the state, but I don't know where. So they dismissed it. And the reason for dismissal, hold on to yourselves now, was because the other party withdrew. Now, why would they withdraw? There's no reason given to me on the letter. It just says petition is dismissed because the other party withdraws. Now, keep in mind, folks, I still didn't know that my daughter was already out of state. During litigation process, my daughter had been living down in South Carolina for 1 year. 1 full year to finish out her middle school. She was already living down there a year. So, what does that mean, folks? Illegal abduction?
Kidnapping?
Or getting permission? Kidnapping? Okay. And when I requested a transcript, because I do, I saw what was discussed in the conference. They held a conference without me being present. That is against your rights, folks. Okay? That's undue process. You are not allowed to have a conference without the two parties present, or I should say without the two attorneys present. And by law, amendments, you have the right to represent yourself. But the family courts don't like that. So they discard that. And they do what they want to do. So, judge dismissed it. And I asked for the transcripts. On the transcript, I read what was taking place, what had place in that room. Yeah, judge did have family emergency and but she held a conference anyway.
Yeah.
A conference should not have been held. It should have been held with me present so that I can object to certain things that were said. Lunch, she asked the other party if they would like to keep their address anonymous. What judge does that? And of course they said yes. So I may know that they're in South Carolina, but now I have no address. So if I were to petition in the future, I wouldn't be able to, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Sneaky. And if she dismissed their petition, that means there is no sole custody given. That means you have no permission to move out of state. I mean, okay, so you would think that she did me a favor, but she actually did them a favor because she didn't bring up their address. Because rightly so, I can petition for a federal law.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But here's the little ditty. God works in mysterious ways, folks.
Mm-hmm.
During the process of me attaining this nonprofit organization project, they call themselves, a little birdie sprang a leak.
Mm-hmm.
I kept that leak on the shelf. And it was confirmed. That leak was confirmed. Legally confirmed. So don't start thinking, oh, how so? Legally.
Mm-hmm.
So I did my homework after that. And with that leak, I got the zip code. And I went to venture. Perseverance. My daughter was kidnapped. And I'm going to find out where it is. So with that zip code and my Einstein methods, common sense, folks, common sense and logic, really.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter in 9th grade, high school. Code? What high schools? In that area code. Narrowed it down to 2. Got on the phone, spoke with administration, tell them they have basically a hostage. But then I was told something very monstrous. Not only did he give me his apology, but he said that many other parents were going through the same.
Mm-hmm.
Folks, that should frighten you.
Mm-hmm.
So he was kind enough, hooked me onto registrar. Registrar confirmed she was not there, but that she was elsewhere. Long story short and in short, I contacted the school, spoke with the administrations, and got my FERPA rights. And the other parent was called to school. After 1 year of kidnapping and living down there and trying to adjust my daughter, not only to a new life she knew nothing of, no one she knew of, no friends, nothing. They now have been found out. They now have been brought to face. And they were forced now to give information. Now, FERPA rights, you have to know your FERPA rights, okay? Look into it. Every parent has their FERPA rights, no matter what a court paper says or not. So, of course, when bring to contact with the other parent, not myself, but the administration, now the other has their rights in the school. Schools only can do so much. They only abide by a piece of paper as to who has custody. All right. They don't want to get involved. They have their own attorneys and they just listen. They're told to do what they're told to do. So, of course, the other parent comes down and starts putting restrictions on me. Now, I'm all the way up New York, Long Island.
Right.
You know, the place where everything starts and begins, folks. New York. Anyway, so puts restrictions on me because every custodial parent has a right to do so. Restrictions of not allowed to come pick up my child. Yeah, okay, I'm all the way up in Long Island picking my child. You know, just nonsensical things.
Mm-hmm.
My main thing is just to make sure that my daughter's mental, emotional, and physical well-being is in check.
Mm-hmm.
Every stage of a person is fragile. Her childhood was ripped from her. Her identity was being taken away from her. She's now a teenager. And this is a crucial time in every teenager's life, especially with the way the world is today.
Mm-hmm.
I have academic rights. I know what she's doing in school. I have her recent picture. I'm still sending my love out to her via her journal. I suggest you folks do the same.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, in time, they'll find a way to find you or look for you. They want to know that you're doing well. I'm doing well. Very well, actually.
Mm-hmm.
You have to heal, and just keep dripping in love,
Mm-hmm.
because it is all about them. And eventually, in time, all this, parental alienation is forced upon them. Okay. They're living a dependent life upon people who are just manipulating them for their own gain.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I've forgiven them because I know that they themselves have probably gone through a similar situation when they were young. And yeah, I know their history, and yes, they have. Unfortunate for them. But it became a vicious cycle, and now through vengeance upon me, we won't get into the reasons why that is, but this is how they're trying to hurt. And it's wrong. It's sick. It's My daughter may have feelings about me, but do I really believe it, Marianne? No. It's not my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
It's not her heart. It's something that is enforced upon her to say, to do. They're still trying to put a bad face in the schools about me. False paper, which is against FERPA rights. It's called a breach, folks. No parent is allowed to bring any court papers other than a custodial paper. No transcripts, no petitions, nothing like that, to try to defame the other parent, because the schools don't know the intricacies of the case. They don't know the process in which it had to go through. They don't know the facts.
Mm-hmm.
So when one parent is trying to make the other parent look bad, that's called a breach.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, they were called to take that stuff out, because I had them take that stuff out. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of research you have to do as a parent, and to let the administrations know that you know what you speak of.
Mm-hmm.
It's also protecting your child's rights and privacy. It's a FERPA right. So with that said, I had a Zoom meet with her principal, her social worker, her counselor. We're all on good academic terms. I've spoken with her teachers via email. But the school conferences that they usually have, that each parent is supposed to be known, that's been tried to keep from me. So I requested one, and the counselor did what was felt was right. And then I said to myself, as a parent, he's like, oh, great, I get to see my daughter. But then maybe not, because parental alienation is still going on. So my daughter now knows that I know where she is, and that I'm involved in her academics once again, like I did while she was living up here. But also feeling fear upon her. If she should show up thinking that God only knows what they're her. So my daughter's show, but and that's okay. That's okay with me,
Mm-hmm.
because it's about my daughter's mental, emotional,
Mm-hmm.
well-being that I'm for.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a happy thing. So long as she's in her new chapter, doing what she wants to do, and I do hope it's what she wants to do and not something that's inflicted upon her or making her do. But so long as she's happy, and so long as does not know the severity of what she's been put through.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, this will affect her in her life if she should let it. But I have pulling through. And
Oh, I'm sorry. Could you repeat that? The
so
connection.
yeah. We lost connection.
Well, it kind of got warbled.
Uh,
What did you say?
I said I have hope and faith, and that's what's carrying.
Hey,
Hi. Well, I don't know. Anyway, I'd like to just cap it with I don't know, a saying, advice to my daughter if she's listening. I don't even know if she has a phone. I don't know if she's even seeing any of Facebook. I have no way of contacting me. She has no way of contacting us. But I'm going to throw this out there. Some days are going to be, I just basically said some days are going to be harder than others, but you must remember to keep hope in your heart always. Stay strong and just never give up.
right. Well, I'm sorry we
only have maybe 1 minute.
That's okay. How can people reach you if they have any questions?
Well, I'm always available by email, legendoflolaleo@gmail.com. You can either drop a word or you can request a phone message. That's legend, LEGEND of Lola, LOLA, Leo, LEO @gmail.com. And you can reach me by Facebook and/or Instagram. I hope you got that.
Okay. You said, I've got your email. And what was the other part?
Facebook and/or Instagram. Although
Gotcha.
Facebook, I usually generally I'll monitor a journal. You guys message me.
Gotcha. Well, hey,
I have lost one Sam Marion, but always
I'm sorry this connection was bad.
Thank you.
Well, hey, don't jump off. On the Gavel's a podcast, help the public understand what really goes on in these family courtrooms. I am your host, Marianne Petrie, author of Dismantling Family Court Corruption, Why Taking the Kids Was Not Enough, and Cry Out for Justice, Poems of Truth. Please join us again here with Dolores Feliciano in the future and other exciting guests. And I thank you so much, Dolores, for coming back on. And I'd like to have you back on again in the future. So I totally appreciate you. Very sorry there was a bad connection.